welcome to another installment of the Fragments of Silicon Reviews. Not just any installment, it's the last one before we go on break. So,
Woohoo!
Oh, is it that already?
yeah, I'm like, this Wednesday's the season finale, then we're off for two. I mentioned this, remember, I scheduled the break to be around E3. Then, E3 decided to not happen.
So, yes, I understand, and you're obviously correct about this. However, you're neglecting to consider that time has no meaning anymore, and therefore I have no goddamn idea what the actual date is.
I'm like, oh, just wait. Yeah. Well, I'm like, maybe we'll do some stuff during the break. Maybe not. I don't know. That's why it's the break. Just. Anyway, we got 4 games to review to close out the season. The first of which is Someday You'll Return. Right. So this is it bills itself as an adventure game. Is it a point and click? Because this review is being handled by Twilight Winter.
No, it's not a point and click. It's a what some like to call a walking simulator, somewhere in the lines of maybe like Amnesia or what's that one? What Remains of
Edith Finch.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about. All right. Let me just find the proper page here. Anyway, so the synopsis is: Someday You Will Return is a story-driven psychological horror game about a desperate search for a missing daughter deep within the woods where you've sworn you've never returned. Brought to you by the creative duo behind Julia Among the Stars. Can't say I'm familiar with that particular game.
That one seemed like a point and click from what I've seen of it. I took a look at it out of curiosity.
Yeah. Anyway, the body of this review will be handled by Twilight Winter because it was one code, high specs, and it cost $35. So. Well, Twilight's your floor.
All right. So yeah, as I always say, this is a first-person psychological horror adventure game. You take on the role of Daniel, a father who's searching for his daughter Stella, who ran away from home. And this is apparently not the first time she's done this. And you don't know why she's been running away from home. So Daniel's taking it up on himself to search for her, and he tracks her down to a this is the Moravian forest. It's a Czech forest, somewhere like Russia or Germany. Sorry, I'm not familiar with where this is supposed to be taking place. It's a fictional place, though. But anyway, he swore he would never return to this place, but he must venture into the forest in order to find Stella. However, there are evil forces that are seeking to stop him. Though he must use his survival skills and his wits to find his daughter and save her. Well, the first thing that really stood out to me about this game is how surprisingly explorative it is. The forest itself, I mean, it has this really open world vibe to it, which I liked. There's a lot of detail in the landscape, and it feels like you're actually traversing through an actual forest, mountainous forest. And I really enjoyed that. You can venture off the beaten path and find little nice details in the world itself, and as well as some collectibles as well. These candy wrappers that I'm not sure if they really serve any actual purpose beyond just for collection's sake. But yeah, that's pretty neat. You can't just go anywhere you want in the forest. There are certain story-based boundaries that you can only go so far with. I mean, that will stop you. Anyway, um, generally, traveling to the forest, as you head towards your objectives, you'll be following these color-coded trails, and they're marked by these signs on trees and posts that are throughout the forest. You can also use your smartphone to make sure you're on the right track, since it's also got color-coded paths on it that you can follow along with. You can take it out and look at it just about any time you want, though there are some points where your phone loses its GPS signal for reasons, or you flat out lose your phone at some points throughout the story. Yeah, you can also use your smartphone for speaking to various characters that you meet throughout the game. You are given the option of responses you can give to them when they send messages to you, and this can affect the game's ending, which it has 5 of, and that's about the extent of the phone's use. Oh yeah, it can also be used as a flashlight as well, in dark areas, or when it turns to night in the forest, which only happens as through story progression. For traverse.
So there's not like real-time time progression. It's just
No, there's no real-time time progression. It's all story-based or game progression-based. How you want to put it? When it comes to your character skills, so to speak, Daniel's skills, there's crafting, which is basically for puzzles only. He gets a tool belt at some point in the game, and he uses for building items that he can use in order to try to get past certain obstacles, or opening these boxes he'll find that have certain items inside of them. He can take stuff apart and put them back together, depending on what you need. And it's a neat idea, I think. Not much use beyond the tool belt besides just taking stuff apart and putting them together. It's basically feels like I'm not sure where I was going with that there. But anyway, yeah, it has a limited use. This is for situational stuff. Another thing is herbalism, or potion making, you could say. Daniel gets a potion making set, and you can collect flowers and herbs for making potions, of course, by using these recipes that you can collect throughout the game. And this was honestly a neat idea, in my opinion. But like the crafting mechanic, this is also all situation-based use. Like you get a recipe for flower sensing, which is supposed to help you with finding the flowers that you need for making potions. But I never really had any use for it. I never even used it. It's pretty easy to find flowers and collect them. And another example of situational based use of the potions is the Calm Mind potion, for example. There'll be some obstacles where Daniel suddenly gets these feelings of a vertigo and dizziness. The Calm Mind potion is good for getting rid of the vertigo, and that's it. I mean, there's one other example is the blood purification potion. You only come across where Daniel gets poisoned, and it only happens once. I thought it was neat how you can crush up various pieces of the plants, like the roots, the leaves, the petals. The recipes are not very complex, very simple, but it was neat for immersion's sake. But at this point, only didn't get much more use beyond that. There's also a climbing mechanic where you must guide the character's hands to whichever part of a mountainside or wall to grip. It's there. That's about all I can really say about that. And one other sort of mechanic is stealth. And there are points in the game where you will have to hide from enemies. These enemies are these creatures that you will be evading from time to time. It's pretty simple. Hide behind objects, don't make too much noise. There's a potion you get to help you with this. It's I don't remember the name of it, but it's supposed to help keep the enemies from noticing that you're there immediately. But if they get too close to you, then they'll attack you, and it's instant death. And I never really noticed if they take notice of any form of light or not. I never did use my phone in those sections, and even then, you sometimes lose it and you can't use it anyway. You do have a means of defending yourself. You get this item later on. It's called a stasis totem, I believe. It stuns the enemies and to allow you to bypass them so they can't harm you. And of course, the stunning effect is time limited. And there's not much more to say on the stealth. It's all right, but I felt those points at times kind of dragged on for a bit. And that's just my opinion on that, though. Other people might think differently. Let's see now. I can't think of any other gameplay mechanics worth mentioning. Back to the story bits of the game, though. Overall, the gameplay in the story bits. Overall, I did enjoy the exploration and some aspects of the gameplay to an extent, but it kind of, some parts of it felt like it dragged on at points. It had a strong start to it, but around chapter 3, this is where signs of dragging starts to show up. Well, yeah, the game story kind of drags its feet a bit. It's like the pacing is what I'm trying to get at. The pacing kind of slows down. I mean, it's not slow pacing. It's not necessarily bad, but it kind of increases in, as the story goes on. I mean, the slow pacing does. But anyway, that's not necessarily a dent against the game, but I figured I'd throw that out there. Also, one other aspect of the story, that, well, more character aspect of the game is Daniel himself. This might be a more of a, again, preference, but Daniel, he's not the most likable character. And for a game like this where you'd be spending all your time with him, it could probably grind on somebody's. He can probably grind on somebody's nerves. After some time, it's odd. He's kind of, at times, well, what it is, he's rude. He's got this sense of, well, he thinks he can find Stella himself, and he's kind of arrogant in that. He's familiar with the forest, but and he doesn't. He thinks if the police, couldn't can't find her, if he can't find her, then the police can't. So like, kind of makes him annoying. He's unnecessarily rude to some characters as well. And there's at times where you actually start to kind of start to warm up to him some, but then he'll say something to somebody, and yeah. I understand that not all main characters have to be likable, but depending on how you feel about a character like that, like determine if you want to get this game or not. But enough rambling on the story and gameplay. The graphics, they're breathtaking, actually. Very realistic looking environments, yeah. This, for PC, could take a lot of power. I was kind of concerned about this, about whether I could run this game myself, because my graphics card didn't quite meet the minimal requirements. But luckily, it was able to handle the game's graphics. Like I said, they're breathtaking, they're beautiful, very realistic, with some nice lighting effects and environmental effects like the fog and mist in some places. So it's definitely got that fun going for it. Audio wise, this game's got voice acting. It's kind of hit and miss here. Daniel himself, some of his responses aren't very good. Some of his voice dialogue is kind of inconsistent. Like he'll be using one tone, but then suddenly he'll cut to the next, to another sort of tone. Like he'll be calm one point and excitable the next. It would be jarring at times. I didn't pay too much attention to it. But all the other character dialogue was actually voice acted dialogue was actually good. It was actually quite good. Music and ambience. I hate to say it, but I don't remember the music very much. At some points, it's I do remember. There's actually not a lot of music there. It's mostly ambience. Very nice ambience. Birds chirping, the sound of water flowing, and the leaves and gravels when you're walking on them. Sounds nice. But when there is music, I can definitely say it's tonally fitting. And that's all I can really say about that. So on the price, the game is $35, and I think it would really depend on if you're into this kind of game. If you're up for a psychological horror adventure game, that is up to about 15 to 20 hours long. I say go for it. But otherwise, if you're not really seeking out this sort of game, maybe wait for a sale. Like I said, this game doesn't exactly have the best pacing, and it's got alright game mechanics for it. As I said, they're all situational based, though. And I'd say if you're really interested in this, then just go for it. Otherwise, just wait for a sale. This game is currently available on Steam, but I think later on it's supposed to come out for. I'm not sure if it's out right now. I never could find any signs of it being out right now. But yeah, out on any other platforms. It's supposed to come out for PS4 later on, I believe. And anybody got any questions?
I think I'm good.
Yep.
I think I mentioned mine.
Yeah, the
time cycle and stuff.
Yeah, the time cycle. Yeah. Well, that's it from me.
All right. So that will conclude this review of sorry, all of my notes are there. Someday You'll Return. Anyway, so be sure to tune in after the break as we review Kawaii Desu. Yes, that is its real name.